So welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us here in Graphistudio's live weekend of events as part of the photography show. We've done 3 of these live events now, and they're incredible fun and really challenging. But you know what? It's bringing you information that you would never have got unless you'd come to the shows. So the fact that we've still been unable to get to shows, we're trying to share as much as we can with you right now of all those great photographers who would have come to talk at the Graphistudio Pro Lounge. But this time we get to share it from the castle, and we get to share from America, we get to share from everywhere. And right now I'm so happy to be sharing my screen and my time with Maria. Maria Michaels, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
And looking at all this amazing photography in the background there, don't you find that we've all suddenly become very background conscious since we've all been getting into Zoom?
We definitely have.
Excuse me. So Maria's here to talk to us about pet photography, which is a massively growing genre in the UK. It's always been out there, but I think more recently we've seen almost an explosion of people wanting to have their pets photographed. So Maria's going to talk a little bit about how she runs her business. And you've done all sorts, isn't it? You know, you've done weddings and families and all sorts of. You're well versed.
Really, yeah.
Well versed in our world. So Maria, tell me a little bit about your business. Tell everyone about what you do, and then we're going to work out how you actually generate great sales through actually doing particularly albums as well, which is very important.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Well, thank you very much. I've missed everybody so much. Photography is always such a great laugh, and I always feel like I'm a little bit part of the team of Graphistudio, and I've missed everybody really a lot. So it's lovely to see, and it's just such a credit to you guys. You can get all this stuff up and going. So thank you to the whole team. Yeah, so I'm Maria Michael. I had a little intro bit on my slideshow, but I'll do it like this. I've been a specialist pet photographer for all about 10 years, just over 10 years now. And like Jeremy said, I kind of did everything. I think a lot of people do that. So I think I started saying I'd never do weddings, but within about a year, I fell into that as well. And actually, slowly, I just got rid of all of it because I knew where my talents lay, really, I guess. I still do some other bits. I still do commercial work, but a lot of my commercial work is tied into pets. So I'll often do work for big pet insurance companies or veterinary groups, things like that. So some of it's not pet related, but a lot of it is. And yeah, that's me, really, I guess.
So you excuse me, it's not COVID, don't worry. We did a lateral flow test before we got here, I was trying to rush a sandwich down in between the sessions, so that was a mistake by me. So you shoot specifically for products, don't you? Your mission is to get a client to buy a product.
Really strongly, and I know we've talked about this many a time, and people who know me will know how passionate I'm about this, that I place the same value in what I do with animals as anybody would do in any other genre. And as somebody who's done wedding photography, boudoir photography, families, for me there is no difference. The value of the images that I take and I capture is so powerful, and it's years later that kicks in. And that how I present those is so important. So for me, product is really key. And I do go into that actually in the talk about how important that is and why. So yeah, it's key. It's what I'd say. It is very rare that I have a client. We've all got them, but it's very rare that I have a client who doesn't buy anything. Very rare at all. And I'd say 95, maybe slightly higher % of my clients will leave here with an album. So for me, I kind of feel like my job is done in a way, because I know the longevity of those images. So yeah.
I guess also that the fact that the client can sit and look at them either on their walls or in an album, does supplying the different products give you more scope to make more money from your clients, better sales? So will you sell more photographs in an album? Of course, you make great sales from a wall art, but does it give you more capability?
Jeremy, if I'm honest, and I may not say this too loud because they're over there, but I'm a parent, okay? And outside of this room, all right, that's my daughter there, you can see, but that's because it was an image for a competition. But outside of here, we've only just put pictures back up after like 4 years.
Right.
Let's be honest, clients will come in and they're surrounded, they're immersed in this, and it's so much an inviting environment for them to purchase in. but how many pictures they're going to put up on their walls, especially of their pets, right?
Yeah.
So the reality is, we do these lovely shoots, we spend these hours editing, we get these amazing images, but the client is only going to have 1 or 2 on the wall. So what do you do with the rest of them? And that's what I talk about is, look at these images, they have so much scope, but they have meaning. They have so much, there's a reason why we capture them. So if we're going to put all this effort into doing it and saying it's really important you have photography, what are we then saying, well, but don't bother printing it? That makes no sense at all. That's like buying a car and saying, but don't worry about the tires.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So we've got to be marrying everything we do. We've got to tie it together. Otherwise, it's really disjointed. So for me, it's worked. I hear so many people say, oh, my clients would never buy all of it. I've been there, done it. I've said exactly the same. And I can prove to you now it's completely opposite.
They don't want to buy an album. They don't want to buy a book. They can get it themselves.
Yeah, and they may not.
Same arguments.
They may say to you they don't. They may not. But I promise you, you can sell them and you will sell them if you change your attitude to it.
Yeah. We had Paul Toman on earlier, who made great sales during lockdown when he was phoning his clients up to ask them what they'd done with their files.
Yeah.
Well, we've done nothing. We've done nothing at all. It's like, that's madness. So
yeah, that's
too
crazy.
often we as an industry don't give people that opportunity to buy. We make an assumption that oh no, but they won't buy, especially if we've never sold product. And
it's actually more to do with us, Jeremy. I did a lot of soul searching at the beginning because I spent time doing all this work and no one was buying. And I thought it was my images. And then as time progressed and I was winning awards, I was thinking, well, that makes no sense. How can it be so different? Yeah. And I realized that I had this real hiccup about people asking me pricing and me feeling sort of unsettled when people say to me, well, how much is that? And I'd go, well, it's £200.
Many photographers find it very challenging to sell because sales is a dirty word. Selling, but ultimately, the moment somebody looks on your website, you're selling to them.
Exactly. And also, Jeremy, we've got to change our mindset. It's not, I don't see it selling. You've asked me a question, I'm giving you an answer. If I went into a high street shop and asked them how much this blouse or this shirt was on a hanger, they're not going to go, oh, it's, they're just going to say that's the price. It's a factual answer. 2 + 2 is 4. You're not going to say, well, actually could be. I don't know. So we need to take that attitude away. Tell
me about what you do with actually the shoots themselves then to create, to shoot so that that you're going to get the right kind of product.
Well, do you want me to go through the slideshow? Would it
let's do it. I know you've worked hard on creating something, so let's. I'm going to shut up and let you run your presentation.
Chip in, but I'm going to try and do the screen share. Everyone bear with me because this always goes wrong when you want it to go right. Okay, so I'm going to firstly not do that because obviously I was not on the right button. Okay, so here we go. So screen share. Okay, so can we see this?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see yours.
We just whizzed through because obviously we did the introductions. Yes, that's me. I'm a mother, wife, sister, specialist pet photographer, speaker.
And how challenging has it been for homeschooling?
I'm so grateful my kids are older. Mine are 18 and 16, so I don't have to do any of their work, else they'd fail everything miserably. But yeah, it's been hard, I think, more for my daughter who's 16. She's more social and, misses everything really. But yeah, my son enjoys PlayStation, so his life is quite easy, really.
Fortnite? Is it Fortnite? One of those?
No. To be honest, I think the fact they can speak to their friends on there and a bit of FIFA, a bit of this. So yeah, it's a lot easier for him. So I'm a speaker and a trainer, and I do a lot of my talking is both nationally and internationally. And I do some commercial photography. So there you go. So I wanted to say a bit about the ethos because I do think that it has a key part of where the business went, really, about, I think, our feelings towards the way we work and how that then presents in our images and how much value we place in the work we do then bounces onto our clients. It's that kind of influence that we give without realizing. So for years, I personally dedicated through research and through training to learn about the animals that I work with the most times, I guess. So mainly horses and dogs is what I tend to work with. I do work with other animals, but they're my kind of key client base. And in turn, I've developed a reputation, as someone who understands and prioritizes the needs of the animals I work with. I am not interested in formations. I'm not interested in you know, the show side of things at all. This is purely from an innate connection point of view. So it's about behavior and psychology, completely nothing to do with training or anything. But my clients tend to choose me for that reputation and my expertise, and they know that I'm a specialist in what I do. So I aim to kind of maintain that in all aspects of my work. So for me, when clients come to me, they get professional from start to finish. That includes the quality of the products that I deliver. And it's really important for me to maintain that for the whole way through the business, from literally the gift vouchers they get to everything. It's got to be that way. So because of my experience, I tend to work with a lot of nervous or reactive animals, or animals that a lot of people may not consider really suitable for photography. And that's mainly why I work on location as well. And then by the time my clients get to the viewing and ordering session, so we may have spoken on the phone, we may have met at a show, we'll arrange their photo shoot. I won't have a time limit on the photo shoot, because I believe that we should be building the connection with the animals and allowing and working with them in a way that's right for them. So it may be that session's an hour, it could be 2 hours. We could be traveling 4 or 5 miles over countryside and stuff. And then by the time my clients get to come to the viewing and ordering session, they're so relaxed and they feel so confident in the relationship that we've built, in that working relationship, that they don't feel like they're coming into a trap. And a lot of people talk about this idea that, oh, you know, they're going to try and sting you right at the end, you know, and this kind of reputation we've always brought up as professional photographers. So they come in and I want them, and I put there, ultimately, I don't want to force a sale. I don't want to be a Kirby salesman or a window salesman. I just want to be the person that enables them to see the images that they fall in love with, and then allow them to want to buy these things.
I think Paul mentioned this earlier, is if you've given incredible service before and during the shoot, you've given way and above what they were expecting in service, then and you build in those connections with those photographs, then the relationship to the photograph is way more than the piece of paper or the album or whatever. It's actually that full experience that they're giving. So it's the experience that they're having, and then the relationship that it reminds them of.
I always say, Jeremy, to my children, it is never what you're trying to say, it's the way you're trying to say it. And that works the same in an experience. The last thing I want is a client to come in here apprehensive that they're walking into something where they're afraid they're going to have to, or they're going to feel forced to spend money they don't need to. So actually, I probably do the one thing that most business people would say is awful. I always start whenever I meet people for the first time, when I'm talking about the kind of way I work, I always say to my clients, you're never under any obligation to purchase anything. And they look at me really odd. And then I say, because I know what they're expecting, I say, and no, we never delete your images. As long as I'm alive and breathing, they should be there. And they look at me like, that can't be right. But actually, I tried to look at it from a human level. How would I want to be treated? Because the minute you make me feel like I'm backed in a corner, I will come out fighting, because that's my way. I would run a mile if I thought that I was going to be cornered into doing something I don't want to do. But if you let me do it on my own, I'd probably spend far more than I ever thought I would. And that's what happens with clients. So
that's something that Jerry Gionis, a great line that he has. He's joining us tomorrow. When he talks to a client, he says, my job is to give you the most incredible experience that you've ever had, to capture the most amazing images that you've ever seen, to have you leaving, remembering this time as the most amazing time ever. Your job is to try and not want to buy every single photograph that I shoot. And I think that's a great way of putting it.
It's true. It's true. So I want to be really clear, because for people getting into pet photography, or even people who've been doing it for a while but feel, I don't know, maybe that they're struggling a bit, I'm going to say something really good. Firstly, I'm going to say, let's get something really straight. We've all seen the pictures of the dogs hugging and the horses doing the passade or the rearing up. They're not my clients, and they're really unlikely to be yours. Unless you specialize in working with highly trained animals as part of what you aim to do, which I definitely don't, they're not going to be your clients. So for me, I don't focus on that end image to be something specific. It hasn't, that doesn't even play in my mind. It's, for me, the majority of my clients are people who've got a really close bond with their pets. And my aim is to create images that capture their pet's individual characteristics and personality, but also images that evoke a strong emotional connection by photographing their pets naturally doing what they see them do every day. Now, people think that's really like, oh yeah, as if, but actually it's really hard, because you turn up to places and it could be and But that's what they do every day. And when you look at things in life as we go along, we're constantly storing subliminal messages all the time. We don't know we're doing it, but you get deja vu. Oh, I've been here before. When a client looks at a picture of a dog in woodland, to you and I, it's just a woodland, but their brain is so accustomed to seeing it that it's familiar, it's comfortable. And that's the emotional connection. Those images for me are far more important than getting a really great pose in a studio, which I do sometimes do at shows. But it's not what I do as a main thing, because for me, there are so many things around that, i.e. what I'm saying about the connection, but about the ethics around working with animals in studios and stuff like that.
This is a common theme we've already had all the way through today, is connecting your client emotionally to the moment in time when those photographs are connected is what makes the true value of the photograph.
But I want them to connect, Jeremy, even deeper. I want them to connect that to something that they share every day. So if you go to somebody who's had a dog share their lives for 10 years or 15 years, and then that dog's gone, and they've got the most beautiful picture of this place that they walk every day, it's not just a nice picture of their dog. It's like a teleport. It sends them back to a place that they've shared for so long. All the smells, the sounds, everything. It's just such a powerful tool. It's more important for me to capture those images because I know the longevity of them and I know what they mean to someone in the years to come. So the other thing I will say is when people say to me, oh, I've got a dog, or I've had horses, or, so I know how to work with them. I've had dogs. I've been around horses most of my life. Don't be silly. I've had kids, but I don't want to go touching everyone else's kids, because it doesn't work like that. So I spent years, all this time, actually learning. And for me, learning is not, just about study, although I've done a little bit of it. I've trained with people like Monty Roberts, the horse whisperer. I've spent hours years ago sitting at a rescue centre watching the way dogs are. I've spent hours at the Wolf Conservation Centre, which sadly you can't get to now, watching the way wolves behave. I've spent hours upon hours talking to people that I know who are experts in dog psychology about, these interactions. Again, nothing to do with training. I don't want to know about training.
Yeah, but it is training, isn't it?
It's my training, not their training.
It's training for you, to understand how to create that time, that special time.
It's about a respect. I have a high respect for the animals I work with and the people that I'm working with. And so I want to make sure that all points in my work is never causing a negative reaction or a stress factor. That's the main thing. So I would ask anybody who's doing pet work, even if you've started it already, please take time to learn some basic body language and psychology around horses and dogs, if that's what you're working with, and commit to always building on that all the time. Being honest is a really key part of your business, in my eyes, and especially when you're working with animals, because you bite off more than you can chew, you will know about it. It has some serious ramifications. And equally, be careful about promising specific shots. Even if animals are trained, they can still have an erratic moment. Something could trigger a reaction. And at no point should any animal be put under stress for photography. So making sure your clients know that you'd always try, but you can't promise, is better than setting yourself up, really. I wanted to put a little slideshow here to just give people an idea of the kind of work that I do. It's about 2 minutes. Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay.
Very nice. Love it. Love it. That's really cool.
Naturally, we go on to products and investments, and they are investments. They are, because they have more relevance in the future than they do now. They have more power and more value in the future than what they have now. So I'm hopeful that most people will share this feeling. I'm a photographer and I want to create images that people see and that they enjoy for years to come. But if I don't respect the work that I do and put the value into, and why would I expect anyone else to do that? So if I don't set that understanding from the very beginning, then why would anyone else be doing that? So, and my clients, obviously. So I believe that the choice of product and the quality of the product plays a huge part in that process. And the true value of an image is only understood in years to come. So I've explained that. But selling products is not something you do right at the end. And a lot of people do that. And I think I've been guilty of that in the past. Think about something as an afterthought. Instead, products you plan to sell should be identified right at the start, alongside identifying your cost of business. They should form an integral part of the foundation on which your business is built, from advertising and marketing right through to shaping the way you shoot and edit. There are pictures that I take on their own are irrelevant. They make no sense, or you would never put them on a wall. But in an album, they work perfectly because they all form that storytelling. So it's things like that that are really key. And once you start to incorporate the products in your way of thinking from the start, everything has that, it's influence in everything you do. So what's great about selling albums? I'm trying to move, oh, sorry, that's my fault. I'm trying to read it at the same time. So on average, my clients, so I shoot probably about, I'd say I'd have about between 20 and maximum-ish about 40 final images for any one particular session. Now, a client would really buy maybe 2 to 3. I have had clients buying 6 wall pieces, but that isn't, you know, that's not an everyday thing. So what happens to the rest of those lovely images? So albums give you the opportunity to print perfectly all of your clients' images and ensure that they're seen the way you intended them to be. Now, when I edit with the mind of it being printed. So I want it to be seen that way. And I've seen the aftermath of a digital file done wrong. It's not nice. And I don't want my name assigned to it because it's horrible. They can be personalized, obviously, through choice of fabric and colors, combinations, and text. And I always have I'll tell you later, but I always have a page with text on. And the unique design of the Gobook, which has been Graphi's absolute most fantastic innovation for me. It's just amazing. It has completely changed the way we do things here.
And I think that's one of the things that people often, they think about, oh, an album. Yeah, well, I don't want to sell an album, or it's just an album. But the Gobook's is something, just another add to the range, who's actually been incredibly successful in so many genres as well.
Yeah. It's crazy because it completely changes and goes against your perception of what an album would be. So obviously, for those of you that haven't seen it, and we'll show you some in a minute, the graphic book is an album inside a box with a Perspex cover. So Jeremy might have one there. I've got a couple in the background here to show you.
I've got one here. Here's one.
Thank you. That's one of mine. Yes, lovely. And
here's one we prepared earlier.
Yeah, it sits up like a picture in a frame, but it's your album. So instead of putting a drawer, this thing is already built and designed to be on display, and that's what clients want. It's brilliant. So it not only means that clients are regularly reminded of the service they've had from you, because every time they go past this thing, they remember this album, and you're tied into that because you created it. But it also means that other members of the family and friends will see that album. It's a lot quicker when someone walks past to go, oh, that's really nice. Go, oh yeah, have a look. Yeah. And going, oh, let me go find that USB somewhere that I might have had. You know, the picture on the wall is great, but it's one picture or 2 pictures. There's a whole album full of them. So
basically, it's being a salesman for you as well, isn't it?
Of course it does. And it explodes your reach, marketing completely. So, you know, it's such a good tool to use in that respect as well. If you don't already do in-person sales, and I know lots of people have issues around why they won't do this, I promise you, if you can just, even if you do it in your living room and you get things out for that session, do it, because it completely
once we can all return to to seeing people and going into places and everything.
Put the little caveat of COVID in there. It's key to have a warm, I believe, I mean, mine, okay, I'm lucky, when we did the extension, we built this huge office. You see this part of it, but there's more here. And as you can see in the picture there, that's a TV screen surrounded by images, Gobook is always there, because my clients sit on the sofas to the right of that image facing the television. So the Gobook is always in their line of sight, but I don't talk about it till right at the end. But it means that subliminal messaging is always forming and they're seeing it there. So I always have, well, when we used to be able to, you know, I know if my client's lactose intolerant, or, you know, because I want to make sure that I've got things here to make them a cup of coffee or a tea or whatever. I don't have dogs in the studio, in the office generally, but I do make exceptions for people who have dogs that, you know, are so nervous and have severe separation anxiety, they can't leave them. I would always try my best to adapt to help my client. And having your samples around is also important. If you try and explain to someone what Lego is, it's really hard unless they've picked a piece up and stuck it to another piece, right? Yeah. So it's
or they stand on it.
Or they stand, yeah, or they stand on it. And also people buy what they see. Why would you know what a Gobook was unless you'd seen it? Let's be honest. Yeah. So you see it, you touch it, you feel it. And the first thing to say is, wow, that is so beautiful. It's such a good quality. Okay, yeah. It's key.
I'm looking at one of your Gobooks now, and just seeing you're actually able to create, you know, lots of photographs in that one book.
Yes.
And I think that's part of it. It's, you know, how many photographs can you sell? Plus, it's creating that one special thing for the client.
Well, let's be honest, Jeremy. Would you rather have one or two, or would you rather have all?
Yeah.
Okay.
All at a time when you can see it whenever you want to, and I think that's part of it.
It is.
What is it that we all do? We create beautiful photographs for people to see, and if they're stuck on a hard drive, you know, hardly ever to be seen. Possibly hard drive crashes, gets lost, USB sticks get lost, chucked in a drawer, stop working. You know, how many USB sticks have you had that you try and plug in and it says they're full, and then you have to go to recovery and you have to try and recover them? You know, it's just crazy.
And USBs don't live forever, even if they don't corrupt. They have a lifespan. Yeah. This idea that they don't is silly. And also, I grew up with my mum driving a Jaguar with an 8-track. It's like this big, the cassette. You know, I've seen floppy disks and mini disks, and, you know, let's be realistic. USB won't be around forever. So
it was originally it was DVDs for some time. You know, where do you put your DVD?
Yeah. I upgraded it to DVD. That's how sad it is. And now it's, you know, we can't play that either. So it's really important.
Print. How many times do we find prints? Do we find albums? Do we find things that we've forgotten about? And you open up that shoebox, which has all those prints in there, or whatever it happens to be, and it just reminds you of that moment in time. And it's not for today. It could be for tomorrow, or it's actually for a year, 2 years, 5 years, your children, your grandchildren's years. And that's why print's so incredibly important.
And don't forget, every time you put you show a digital file, dependent on what you show it on, it will look different. Therefore, it's not a finished, in my eyes, and I do talk about that, but soon we've got to it quicker, I'll whiz over that. But it is not a finished product, because unless you can see it the way I want you to see it, then it's not. If you look at it on your phone, on your computer, then on a TV,
not your photograph, is it?
No,
it's not how you've created it. Yeah.
So therefore, that is not the finished article, and so that's what I always say to my clients.
So you shoot for. We're probably scooting across your slideshow here a little bit.
But don't worry about it.
So you actually shoot to be able to sell an album as well, don't you? You actually create your shoot.
There's a minimum of 20 images I want to capture, not as in a set images, but I know I want a minimum 20. But when I'm shooting, it's unlikely for me to ever get less than that, because of the way I shoot. There are the odd shoots where, because of complications with, say, exceptionally young animal, or, you know, a very elderly, poorly animal, so that I know that we may not get necessarily 20, but as long as I've got 17, I can still create an album. Right, so I aim for that, but I edit every final image before my client comes in, and I present that in a slideshow with music, which I have got next, but I'm going to whiz past it in case we run out of time. So
we're running. I've probably nattered too much to take it out.
So also guys, the upgradable option of albums is great. So always leave the gate open for people to go further. Be careful that you don't block their path to buying more or upgrading. Upgrading options are great, more pages, you know, things like that. And obviously the key, like I said, the key to it is presentation. So when they come in, they sit on these sofas, they see that TV, we put on a slideshow with music. I'm going to squirt through past that now because we don't have a lot of time. So sorry. I said, we just talked about this because Jeremy whizzed us through. I do have digital files. I'm not saying don't use them. I use them as a carrot, and I use them to guide my clients to the kind of collections and stuff. But I don't want to be selling digital files on their own. Yes, I know if I sold this USB for as much as I sell this USB with all their photos on, which is a lot of money if it was on its own, you could say, well, you make good profit on that. It's probably better than anything else. Yeah, but what does this do for me in the long run? And in all honesty, is that what I value the work that I do? Have I spent 10 years learning everything I've learned about working with animals and about spending all these years learning to edit and stuff like that for that? Sorry, it's not me. Yeah. It's not my way. So
it works for some people, but I think as a long-term business
there's a lot more you
strategy,
can do with them, Jeremy, a lot more. And once your client has got this, your likelihood of resale is down massively. You'd be lucky if you get 50%. So just think of it. It's also a barrier. So you've got to use it smart. Price list. Always have your prices really clear, because people need to feel that there's a value to each item. Because when you go to do collections, like I do, and I would encourage you to do, if every item has its own value, then the collection makes more sense that they're getting this much off the list price. And I genuinely do sell everything individually at that price if someone wanted to buy it. But the collections are attractive because of that. So I use the digital files. These are my collections at the moment. My most popular collections are the 2 center ones. I only added the ultimate one in, don't laugh, January last year, because I had clients the year before wanting to add more things in. And I thought I'd do that. And then obviously we hit COVID and everything went to pieces. But anyway, so if you look at the first one, they get up to 10 digital files, up to, because they can choose to have the odd few, but they're not going to, in my pricing plan, it's up to 10, up to 20. So they can choose to get 2, but they'll still pay for up to 10. But on the collection, they up to 10. Second one is up to 20. And then the two at the end, they've all got they get all the images. But in every single one of those collections is an album. Right. Every single one. Because if you take this and you go and print this off at home or at Snappy Snaps or at Boots, other printers will be around, whatever they call it. I know that you open that album up and you see the difference. You think, oh, that wasn't what it was meant to look like. And that's important to me, because I don't ever want to see a picture on the wall that looks awful and you think that's what I created it to look like. So,
well, we know with and when everybody, obviously this is going out on YouTube and to the photography show and various other places.
Don't remind me.
So we don't talk specific cost prices on here, but if you go to your trade area, you'll see how inexpensive actually the cost of the
that's good that you told me that, because I might have to whiz through one of mine.
Yeah.
Okay, so album design. Okay, so when we do the viewing and audience session, I run through all the customization options. So when they've picked to buy, say, a collection, we'll go through things like what color do they want. So we've got the swatches. I have threatened to take these bits out because it's not my color schemes, but I think it's only fair my clients get to choose what they want. So they get to sit here and choose what color they want for the box, what color they want for the album, for the spine and the back. There are linen. I don't tend to sell linen, if I'm honest, but that's only because a lot of my clients obviously are horsey and doggy people and they worry about cleaning it. But this has got so many options. So I'm not gonna lie.
So, it's giving you that chance to create that uniqueness for the client, isn't it?
Exactly. And then also at the front of the album, this client's one might have, but I could have got it on here. At the front of the album, I'd suggest them they put a bit of text, and then they always choose the font, the type of font. So say, do you like it swirly? Do you want it more modern? And then the color of the font.
So, we're massively, and probably all my fault, running out of time.
Okay,
but if somebody wants to find out more from you about your training, they can come to your website. They can find out more about how you train in terms of the pet photography side, and they can also find out more about and actually talk to you about your albums and how you do the sales and that directly with you. Is that right?
Yeah. Can I whiz you just through?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go through that part. So I always design 2 albums. Well, I say always, if anyone's got more than 20 images or so. And what I do is I tell them that from the beginning, because I don't want them to feel it's a trap. And I say, I will message you when they're done. They'll go onto a gallery, online gallery, 2 different galleries. It's your choice. One will always be the standard 20 pages, and the other one will be additional pages. And it's up to them to decide whether they want that, but there will always be an add-on fee. But what I do is I say to them, look, because they've already bought a package, it would have cost this much more. And I've got a set price list that says for every page it's £30. So spreads, double pages is £60. And then, you know, this is how much it would have cost. But because they are a valued client and because they've already bought a package, they'll get a discount. So it may be like this one was a client that I have here who had bought an album that had 44 pages and it would have cost them £720 extra. But I did it for 250.
But your cost is very low for that, isn't it? So it's an addition on.
But because the difference in adding the pages wasn't extreme, and they've already spent a lot of money with me, a hell of a lot of money. So I want to be able to kind of give back a little bit and thank them for that, but also enable them to buy an album that I think is truly beautiful. And this was the album that they bought. So these are and a thicker album, it just looks so gorgeous when you see it in person. And these are the kind of spreads that we were creating, you know, where these big pictures.
You know what? I wish we'd run an extra half an hour in our talk, because I know I'm getting a signal in my, you know, saying we've got to wind up because we've got so much to fit in today.
I've finished anyway.
that in such a short space of time, you've given us so much information. I really want to thank you for giving up this Saturday to help us. Thank you so much. Look forward to when we can get together to meet up for a coffee and a chat,
definitely.
and you know, and for the next show hopefully. So thank you, Maria. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, Maria. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.